Hello, Sandy Bonanni, and welcome to Breakaway F1. It is Thursday, which means right now at 7:30 we are due to begin our Tier 1 race out here in Japan. As you can see, we have 27 laps of racing, and as you can also see on your screen, one by one the drivers are confirming participation here. Zotao is here, Seaclay is here, Selby, Romeo Massingo, Lunds, Josh, aka Damnesia, is here, as is Nick, Loveness, M. Fundo, Bonds, Mellow the Mellow, and D-Wax. What a day we have, what a session we have of racing here today. We know that it is going to be absolutely fantastic. M. Fundo is also here in the Alpha Academy, as well as Man Ray. Yes, so our grid is filling up. The drivers are confirming participation. We will have 18 minutes of qualifying out here in Japan, followed by 27 laps of racing. It is a dramatic track in the sense that it is not the easiest for the drivers. As we saw in Tier 2, quite a number of retirements and quite a few drivers not being able to finish the race. Will we see similar levels of drama out here in Japan? Well, time will tell. But this is Breakaway F1, the home of fantastic racing, a grid full of incredible drivers. Of course, this is Tier 1, which would suggest the existence of other tiers, and yes, that is correct. So Tier 1, these are top-tier drivers of Breakaway F1, the creme de la creme, if you will, the absolute premier drivers. And there is a Tier 2 currently in existence, or I would say currently underway, as a Tier 2 season. They had their 22nd race yesterday on this very track in Japan. And, Tier 1 drivers race every Tuesday and Thursday. And qualifying usually begins around 7:30 Central African time. If you've just joined us, welcome! We are getting ready and set for what is sure to be a very, very, very gripping, exciting race. So I do not see Titus having confirmed participation in this race. Of course, he has been one of the championship protagonists in this breakaway season. And, we would sure miss seeing his skill and execution on this track. Sandy Bonanni, if you've just joined us, my name is Bob O'Connor. I will be on commentary for this race out here in Japan. We have 27 laps of racing. And, we're just going to get confirmation of all the drivers who will be participating here today out here in Japan. Now, to give you a sense of how our championship looks currently, the Drivers' Championship is as follows. Seaclay, the superstar Ferrari driver, currently leads the championship on 345 points, followed by Zotile, who took full advantage of Seaclay dramatically crashing out last time, and Zotile is currently on 322 points. So Seaclay, having not finished the previous race, will be looking to gain at least one more victory and perhaps a podium place to cement that title. But knowing Zotao, he will want to have something to say about that. Titus is on the brink, teetering on potentially losing his crown. Titus is on 271 points in third place in the Drivers' Championship. Titus will be relying on drivers crashing out. He'll be relying on people having absolute nightmares in the final three races, including this one. Will that be the case? Well, we will have to see here. Mello the Mellow is in fourth in this championship, 168 points. Josh, aka Damnesia, is fifth in the championship, 129 points. Lungs in the Red Bull is on 128 points in sixth place. M. Fundo is on 104 points, seventh place. In eighth place is Loveness on 94 points, as Buddha currently sits ninth in the championship, 87 points. Tindo in the McLaren, what a resurgence it's been from him throughout the season. Currently in 10th place, 84 points. The rest of the championship, the Drivers' Championship, that is, Selby currently sits 11th. Zozo is 12th. The 86er is in 13th place. D-Wax is 14th. Romeo Massingo, a.k.a. Mandela, is in 15th. And Debo in the Haas is currently 16th. Nick in the Mercedes is in 17th place. Man Ray in the Aston Martin is 18th. Bongs is 19th. And Inati is currently in 20th place. In the Constructors' Championship, as Kid K comments, Zia Kala, welcome Kid K to the comment section. It's good to see you here. The Constructors' Championship is as follows. Red Bull currently leads the Constructors' Championship, 450 points. What an effort it's been from them. Bongs and Seaflay and the Ferrari are currently second in the Constructors' Championship, 358 points. Titus and Tindo are third, 355 points. Selby and Damnesia are fourth. Nick and Mello in the Mercedes are fifth. Esbuda and Loveness in the Alpine are sixth place. D-Wax and Mfundo in the AlphaTauri are currently in seventh place. Romeo and the 86er are in eighth. Spice also and Man Ray are currently in ninth. And Inati and Lebo in the Haas are currently in 10th place in the Drivers' Championship. Well, here we are in the pits. It looks to be a clear day so far, or at least as things stand. We will get an idea of how, well, the drivers will get a clearer idea of what the weather in the race will look like. We will have to see that as the race unfolds. And, oh yes, we cannot wait to see that. Now, if you're a regular viewer of Breakaway F1 Tier 1, you will know that the likes of Josh, a.k.a. Damnesia, does not like to waste time. He's usually out of the pits fairly fast as we see a Ferrari making their way out. Is that Bonds? Is that Seaflay? Well, let's take a closer look. It looks to be Bonds. Yeah, Bonds is definitely the first out on track. And, yeah, we'll just see how Bonds does. With about 17 minutes left of this qualifying session, the engineers, the mechanics are putting the final touches on these cars before they come out onto their out laps and indeed their hot lap attempts. So we will see exactly how things go here. Now we're watching Bongs in the Ferrari, and Bongs currently sits in this championship in 19th place, having racked up 13 points throughout the duration of this season. Well, Bongs, what can you do in this race out here in Japan? Ooh, was that deliberate or not? Well, Bongs making way for the Alfa Romeo. Ooh, of Selby, who is really sending it. Welcome, Jittery Cursor 88. The commentator was dusting me, first time watcher. Well, we hope the race won't dust you, Jittery. It's going to be a fantastic race. That we can guarantee. Tier 1, top tier drivers out here. It's great to see some new viewers on our Premier Championship here in Breakaway F1. This is the 22nd race in a 24-leg season. We're watching Selby out here in the Alfa Romeo. Selby going strong and steady, has racked up 83 points in this season's championship. Selby currently sits 11th in the Drivers' Championship, and already, before setting a hot lap, Inati in the Haas, who has had terrible luck, has retired from this session. Inati is out. Without setting a time, Inati will begin at the back of the grid. Well, early drama out here in Japan on this track, which is really unforgiving as far as its winding curves and its narrow track are concerned, but how will Selby navigate that? Selby is the first to begin a hot lap attempt alongside Bonds and Damnesia, aka that will be Josh, who is also in a hot lap attempt. But we're watching Josh's teammate Selby making their way through Sector 1. Watch how carefully he takes it, trying as much as possible not to kiss those curbs, not to touch them, not to incur any track limit incursions. Selby goes nice and smooth through the first sector, 33.2 in that first sector. Of course, being the first driver, sets a purple first sector. But we will see how the rest of the grid matches up to the time that Selby will put up. Now, as you can see, as he goes through this hairpin bend, there's a Ferrari. Presumably that will be Seaflay, who will then make way for Selby to be able to finish this second sector without any incident. And he keeps it nice and steady, nice and clean. You can see how narrow this track is out here in Japan. Very, very little margin for error. And as you've already seen, Inati has already crashed out of the session, retired rather from the session, without setting a time. So yeah, unforgiving track out here in Japan. As the real Kaboza says, oh, Inati, goes really, really hard on the curbs there, but keeps it on track without invalidating. And Selby's teammates, Josh, aka Damnesia, sets a 130.4. And what kind of time will you do, Selby? 130.776. That is the best that you could do so far as the first attempt, so not bad. Let's see how the rest of these times come trickling along. I know, let's catch up with the championship leader, Seaflay, who leads the championship and sets the fastest time, 129.673 so far. matched very closely by Mello the Mello in the Mercedes, who has set a 129.688. Well, two drivers already breaching that 30-second barrier. Seakley with a 129.673, and Mello the Mello, who has been on a revenge mission of sorts recently after, losing losing the lead and thus losing the win, if you will, taking second place out in France a couple of weeks ago. But this is a great time for Mello the Mello, 129.688. He is out on a mission, and Mello has said in recent times that he's set himself high targets for next season, which you will be catching pretty soon. Mello the Mello has none other intention than to win the championship next time around. But of course, he has the likes of Seaplay to contend with. As we see Josh, aka Damnesia, in that AlphaTauri, slightly improving on their times at a 130.332, but still not enough to breach that 30-second barrier. Zotile, currently sitting in P2 in the Drivers' Championship, has set a 130.099, as you can see, in third place here in Japan. So not a bad time. And we'll be looking to pretty much shake the tree, disturb those top runners, being Seakley and Mello the Mello, who have set those times in the 129s. But knowing Zotile, well, he might just have something up his sleeve. 322 points this man has racked up in this year's championship. What an effort from Zotile in the Red Bull as he makes his way back into the pits. Let's catch up with Zotile's teammate Lungs, who is definitely going, well, far slower than this time that they had set. It's definitely an in-lap from Lungs, but I want to see exactly who might be on a hot lap attempt. That would probably be Nick. So let's see how things go from your perspective, Nick, and let's take a closer look and see what it looks like from Nicholas's perspective. Look how narrow the track is as it comes to the left-hander. Of course, being very, very careful not to kiss and touch, as he can see that slow-moving Red Bull of Lungs in front of him. Lungs will make way. Lungs will dip into the pits, and Nick comes through the final part of the track and sets a 130.033, about 7/100ths of a second quicker than the previous time, but still only good enough for P13 is this time set by Nick. So he'll be looking to improve on that time. Nick is, of course, the teammate to Mello the Mello, who we were watching a couple of seconds ago. Nick currently sits in 17th place in the championship, having racked up 19 points in this year's championship so far. If you're joining us, welcome! We are in the 22nd race of F1 Breakaway in Japan. And, well, what a session we've had. We've already lost two drivers who have retired from this qualifying session. We lost Mfundo, as you can see there, who currently sits in provisional P5. We have lost Inati, who could not set a time here. And we watch, let's see how Spizozo does. Sometimes we're watching a driver and they could be back on an in-lap, and indeed Spizozo is. Was the only driver on medium tires, but could only do 131.905, so presumably Spizozo will look to come in and pit maybe onto soft tires like the rest of these drivers. Well, what a race we have potentially here today. If you just joined us, welcome. This is Tier 1 of F1, a Breakaway F1, and we are in Japan today, the narrow, unforgiving, winding track that is the Suzuka Circuit. Ooh, as we see, Loveness beats his car almost. No, he does not beat it. He just absolutely slides through the gravel and hits those barriers, and Loveness is out of this session, having set a 131.023. Loveness spins out, crashes out, and, well, those engineers will have a lot of work to do to repair that car and make sure that Loveness is in tip-top shape. Loveness will be hoping that nobody else pips his 131.023 and that he can stay as high as 7th place as things stand. But we have 9 minutes to go in this qualifying session. Loveness, you could be slipping and sliding all the way down this starting grid here today. Well. What a dramatic session that was for Loveness there. Let's see how Mello the Mello was doing. Meanwhile, the real Caboza in the comments says, Loveness, that was such a soft hit. Yeah, soft, but sadly for Loveness, hard enough for the car to slightly disintegrate and for his car to be retired from this qualifying session. Loveness becomes the third driver we have lost as Mellow the Mellow sets a purple first sector, it seems. And we're now watching the Mellow make his way through this second sector. Mellow the Mellow has the bit between his teeth as Overtake with Tempo says, let's go, Tier 1. Well, what can you do here, Mellow the Mellow? In fact, let's take a closer look. Let's see what things look like from your perspective. Look how narrow this track is as he's about to make his way into the slower left-hander. Ooh, goes slightly into the curbs there, but knowing Mellow the Mellow, he keeps things steady here. And he'll be looking to plant his car right at the front of the grid and give Seaflate a lot to think about throughout this race here. Into the left-hander goes Mellow the Mellow, and of course, he's going to have to slow down pretty soon into the chicane, and he handles it with aplomb. Currently on 125, 126. What can you do, Mellow the Mellow? Can you get that? No, he actually goes 5/100th slower than the previous time that they had set. So, although he did well in the first sector, those second and third sectors need a little bit of work from Mellow the Mellow to set that time on fire and possibly pip Seaflate over there. Well, what a race potentially we have here in prospect. Zotal, another championship contender, has improved on his time by about 3/10 there into this final sector. Can you breach that 130 barrier, Zotal? Yes, he can. 129.796, but that is still not good enough to go any further than P3. We have lost Bongs, and we have lost the Man Ray. Two more drivers crashing out in this qualifying session. Bongs had set a 131.475. Bongs currently sits in P9. Well, can you hang on to that position, or will you be knocked outside of the top 10? Well, we have 5 drivers now in this qualifying session. So, what does that say potentially for how this race will pan out? Well, Sizabona Kona, as they say in South Africa. We'll just have to see. Ziyabuya, it's coming back. That's what they also like to say here in South Africa. That's what's happening to Japan with just 6 minutes to go in this qualifying session here. We have just seen the likes of Zotal and Mellow the Mellow, who makes room for an Alpine that we're going to watch closely. Or was that... no, it could have been actually the Williams of Romeo as Seaflate improves even further on his time. Sets a 129.534 to give Mellow the Mellow even more to think about. And Romeo has invalidated his lap here. So whatever time he's doing here will not count. So we'll try and catch up instead with Spizozo making the way through the first sector. Now the best that Spizozo could do so far is a 131.905. What can you do as you come through these S's, these narrow S's out here in Suzuka, Japan? Spizozo trying to walk that fine line between pushing it and keeping it on track. Well, Gamma Maverick in the comments says, this is Seaflate's world, and we're all just living in it. Romeo Mandla has binned his car, has retired from the session, had set a 131.783. That was the best that Mandla could do, but has crashed out of the session. But we are currently watching Spizozo. What can you do? Oof, look how narrow. Even these corners are absolutely unforgiving. You have to be on the mark. You have to be on point. You have to be at your absolute best if you're going to do anything to challenge these top 10 runners. Well, Spizozo has improved on their previous time by about 9/10, so he's a second up. Remember, Spizozo was running on a set of medium tires at the beginning of the qualifying session, but now he's switched to a set of stock compound tires, which of course have more grip, which of course have more as far as speed and performance is concerned. And indeed, Spizozo improves to provisional P6 as things stand, 130.589, a definite improvement over there. Oh my goodness. Overtake with Tempo says, this session looks like more qualifying crashes than Tier 2 so far. Well, you could be on the nose as far as that is concerned. We have lost Mfundo, Loveness, Bongs, Romeo, Nick, Man Ray, and Inati so far. And Kassan in the comments says, looks like the safety car is going to play a huge role in this race. Well, based on what we saw last time out, we would not be surprised at all if that was the case. Now, as things stand, with about 3 minutes 45 seconds to go, Sequay currently sits in provisional pole. Mellow the Mellow is in the front row with Seaflay. Zotal currently sits in P3. Josh, aka Damnesia, who we're watching now, currently sits in 4th place, followed by their teammate Selby in the pits. Currently, Spizoso has worked their way up to provisional P6, and Fundo has retired from the session and currently 7th. Lungs is currently in 8th place in the Red Bull, and retired drivers Loveness 9th place. Bob's currently 10th, Romeo currently 11th, and D-Wax, who is still on track, is currently provisional P12, and in fact, let's catch up with D-Wax and see how they're doing. Coming through this first sector. D-Wax is 12th, Nick is 13th, Man Ray currently sits 14th, Inati 15th, and Tindo, who has just joined the session, is currently in provisional, P16. Oh, Tindo's not set a time as D-Wax spins and has to reset that car to the track and come back. Oh, D-Wax spun, but, well, thankfully for him, managed to keep that car on track. Tindo, what can you do in your first attempt here to set a time? Tindo, in your first bite of the cherry, that being is the Japan circuit out here. Ooh, it's just about 2.5 minutes to go. You saw he was just taking a few liberties there, and he eased up on the throttle there to regain control. Tindo into the slow left-hander, the slow left-hander I would say. And what can you do here in this second sector, Tindo? Let's take another view from, of course, the other cameras stationed all over this track here. Tindo looks to set a time. Tindo, looks to really have something to say as far as the top 10 runners are concerned. Of course, there are many drivers who have retired from the session, giving Tindo some breathing room as far as other challengers to whatever time he sets are concerned. Through the second sector goes Tindo with a time of about 1 minute 14 seconds, and into the third he goes, this slower chicane, of course, as he's about to stare down that final straight towards the start-finish line. What can you do, Tindo? 131.790 is the time that you have set here. Good enough for a provisional P12, as Mellow the Mellow answers the gauntlet laid down by Seaflay with a 129.373. This man on your screens right here, improving on the time that Seaflay had set. Mellow the Mellow is not playing. Mellow the Mellow is into the final part of the season with the bit between his teeth. And of course, he spins out this time around, keeps his car, does not lose the car. He spun out there, but he had set the quickest time, which Zotal and Seaflay now have to answer to. And by the way, Zotal had set a 129.424. How's that for a gauntlet laid down to Seaflay? How's that for a challenge laid down? You want this championship, Seaflay? Of course, you know you're going to have to fight for it, but none of these drivers are going to give it to you that easily. He's going to have to potentially fight his way up from, third place as things stand. But as we watch him through the first sector, Seaflay has gone about a 10th quicker than their previous best. So what can you do now as we are about to enter the second sector here, Seaflay? By now, Seaflay knows that two other drivers have set scorching times far quicker than his, or rather quicker by about 0.2 as far as Mellow the Mellow is concerned. So, what can you do here, Seaflay? The championship protagonist, the leader of the drivers' standings, who crashed out dramatically last time round, but will be looking to clinch this race and potentially solidify his to the crown that Titus has held in this second sector. What does it look like from your perspective? Let's take a closer look. So Seaflay, as you can see on the track there, the dust marks left by previous drivers who had, of course, sent their car off track, but Seaflay, being Seaflay, does not. Coming into this final chicane here, absolutely clean through that goes Seaflay. Can you beat the time set by these two others? Yes, is the answer. 128.969. The only driver to breach that 29-second barrier, Seaflay, answers emphatically to the gauntlet set down by Mellow the Mellow and sets the fastest time. That is pole position for Seaflay as things stand. And no, Josh is not on track, but no, that is not a hot lap attempt. Your grid in Japan for the 22nd race here today is Seaflay is in pole position. Joining him in the front row is Mellow the Mellow. Zotal will start in the second row in third place. in P3 rather. Damnesia, Josh will start in P4, followed by his teammate Selby. Then we have Spizozo 6th, and Fundo in 7th place. Lungs is 8th, Loveness is 9th, Boggs 10th, Romeo 11th. Tindo will start in 12th place. D-Wax will start in 13th place there. And then we have, of course, the rest of this grid, as of course I'm waiting for this track to update. Piero in 14th place in the Mercedes. Ooh, just under 20 seconds to go before this race starts. Let's catch up with the comments. Suzuka curbs are unforgiving, says Luddy. Tempo, a bit of the curve helps with rotation. Too much and you're out. Oh yes, Jittery Cursor says Tindo's strategy seems to be working great. He might make it into top 5 with a little pressure. These guys are bombing out like crazy. Kid K says, Luddy, you have to be patient. Ha ha ha. With the rate I saw people DNF yesterday, well, I had to play it safe and get points. Seps says, Tier 1's P5 to 10 is equivalent to Tier 2's top 5 times yesterday. Thinking face emoji. Well, Tsapiso is, of course, one of the leaders of the new school as far as Tier 2 driving is concerned. Tsapiso has his eyes set on all these drivers here in Tier 1. Will Tsapiso be a protagonist in the championship race in Tier 1 next season? Well, catch us next time on the next episode of Dragon Ball Tsapiso in the Ferrari. Well, we will see. We will have to take a closer look and see exactly how that pans out. We're in Japan for the 22nd race of Tier 1 of F1 Breakaway. The race will begin shortly. And what do you know? Rain! Drama! Rain! I just love this. I love this. I love a little bit of drama on a dramatic, challenging track. With just seconds to go, we will have a rainy race out here in Japan. Zotal has left the session, unfortunately. Well, as you've seen, we're migrating host. Zotal has left the session. Presumably, Zotal has been disconnected here, which is an absolute tragedy for Zotal, who did so well to qualify in P3 to set himself in that second row and give Nick and give Seaflay and Mello the Mello something to think about. Oh, well, if you've just joined us, we are on the brink of starting this 22nd race out here in Japan. And we have our championship protagonist, our championship leader, Seaflay, at the very front of this grid. Now, keeps on loading and reloading. We definitely hope that this is not a glitch that we're seeing. Well, it was supposed to be a rainy start to this most dramatic race out here in Japan. What will the situation be here now? Well, Tsapiso says, don't put me on the spot. Next thing, I pull a Man Ray. Well, Tsapiso, you never know. With the kind of pace that you've been showing, you never know what you can do in this top tier. As the lights are going on, and this is the only time South Africans look forward to the lights going out, and this race has begun. Let's see how it starts. Zotal is a ghost, but Seaflay leads this race on intermediate tires. A lot of these drivers are, look how slow they have to go. They have to balance, of course. Mello the Mello is dropping far behind. He started P2, currently finds himself in P4. Seaflay managed to keep that car on track as Damnesia. Josh, what a start it's been for you. Currently sitting in second place. Mello is fighting back. That fight between Mello and Josh. And Josh is slipping down now. Josh is slipping down as we see Spizozo finding himself in third place as things stand. Oh my gosh. Yes, Zotal.
Can you send me an invite, buddy? Sorry to bother you. Can I get
Oh my goodness. We're going to have to make sure that we catch up with these absolute top runners. The 86er seemingly has been struggling here. Okay, I just want to make sure that you see all of the track, all the telemetry, the detail as far as the tires are concerned, and I'm going to make sure that I re-invite Zotal back into this race. I'll be back with you in a second. We're back, or rather, well, we never left. We're in Japan. This is the end of the first lap as Seaflay sets a 146.611. We're looking to get Zotao back disconnected, or back reconnected in this race. But as you can see, Spizoso, one of the big gainers at the start of this race. Seaflay's teammate, that being Bombs, has worked their way up to 5th place as things, or worked their way up to 5th place, yes, gaining 5 places in the start of this race. Some of the other big movers are Romeo, Tindo, who've gained 3 places, and Loveness and D-Wax have gained 2 places each. But the big story, of course, at the start of this race, Seaflay goes off track, and that gives Mellow the Mellow a chance to catch up, a chance to possibly overtake. Can he get that done? The gap, of course, now is 4/10. It was more than a second, but Mellow the Mellow has managed to catch up in these inclement weather-type conditions. Lap 2 of 27. Josh racks up a time penalty. Josh not having a great start to the race, having slipped from, second place at some point, and now finds himself in P6. But Mellow the Mellow currently has worked their way right back to second place in this here group. Oh my goodness, what a dramatic start we have had here. Mellow the Mellow rather has worked their way back to less than a second, that gap, and Spizoso is following close behind, so Mellow has a lot to think about as Josh Damnesia's teammate Selby is currently in that 4th place as things stand. My word, it has been an absolutely dramatic start here. Thankfully, we have not had a safety car. We have not lost a driver to this dramatic rainy start out here in Japan. Seaflay currently leads, and as the laps tick on, he keeps on lowering that fastest lap time. And that gap has now grown back to about 1.1 seconds. So Mellow the Mellow could not capitalize on that mistake that Seaflay had made earlier, sliding off into the gravel as you saw so dramatically. Now let's take a look at how these tires are looking for these drivers. Of course, in these conditions, it is not inconceivable that they would start on 80-meter tires as, it looks like Spizoso was going slightly off track there, did not lose his car, managed to keep it on track, and Selby did not take advantage. Let's go Red Bulls, says Miss Bono in the comment section. It's been a dramatic start for Red Bulls. Both of them have lost positions in quite dramatic fashion, sliding down the standings, of course, as things stand. D-Wax is out, or D-Wax has left the session. He's still in the race, but as you see, this absolute scrap between Mellow the Mellow and Spizoso. Loveness is getting in on the action now, and my goodness, what an absolute scrap here. They're trying to fight as hard as they can, but they can't push too hard in these intermediate slippery conditions. The gap, as you can see, is less than a second between all of these top 8 runners. And now, Spizoso has actually claimed the lead with all of these drivers chasing as hard as they can here. And Spizoso is currently in the lead and is looking to increase that gap to potentially a second or more. But can he get it done? As the safety car comes out for Nicolas Piero, the Mercedes driver, is out of this race in Japan. Spizoso leads from Seaflay in this 22nd race of the season. Seaflay was hoping to wrap this championship up, but with such drama, with such unpredictable twists and turns in this tale, it is not going to be easy for him at all. Absolutely not. He will have to fight his way back. Unfortunately for Zotile, his network really gave in at the worst possible time just before this race started, and he ghosted. Having worked so hard to be in P3, Zotile ghosted, but it looks like he is back, re-established the connection there. We're no longer watching the Ghost of Zotile, but it looks like he's definitely back here. Now, your grid, as things stand. Spizoso in the Aston Martin currently leads. What a day for Aston Martin so far. What a day for Spizoso so far in P1. Seaflay, who led qualifying as far as times are concerned, is in P2. Mellow the Mellow is in P3. As well, we're seeing a string of retirements here. It looks like we might just be having a restart. Yep, that seems to be the situation. We will quite likely be restarting the race out here in Japan with a custom grid, as Mello voluntarily, presumably, sends it into into the Donga, as the Zulu people say. Well, yeah, he spins, he tries to retire that car, but he does not. Right, we've had a glitch, presumably, and, after a dramatic start out here in Japan, we will be restarting this lobby, we will be resetting this grid, and we will start again one more time. So, thank you for those of you who have joined us so far. Stay tuned, stay here. This race has been red flagged, as Kid K quite rightly said, and we will be beginning shortly. As you know, Sabu, you may as well join the session since it is being restarted. The more the merrier, the greater the grid, the more the drama. Well, and Kasana, it seems there might have been some sort of a glitch, so the drivers are just retiring from this lobby. We will begin a new lobby soon, and this race will restart in a matter of minutes. And of course, these Exco members, these the Exco members will make sure that we are all in, that these drivers are in the correct order that they qualified in. So we will see you pretty soon. Well, as you can see, we are rejoining the session, joining a new lobby out here in Breakaway F1, making sure that we give you all the action that you need. Well, Jittery Cursor was asking if the weather was going to clear. Well, perhaps it will be dry. It will be a dry weather start for the next race. We will certainly hope so. And we will be bringing you all of that and more pretty much soon. Well, folks, we're just going to make sure that the invite is working correctly. As you can see, it's cool. It's hanging for a second or two. I will be back. We will be streaming once again in a matter of seconds, just making sure that the stream and the invite is working and that I'm in the lobby as I'm supposed to be. So we'll be beginning this with a take two in a matter of seconds. Please, stay on the page. We will just begin very, very shortly.